I hadn't thought about Saint Augustine Boarding School in more than 20 years. Not really. Sometimes a smell or a sound, the faint echo of chalk on a board, the way rain tapped against windows, would pull me back for a second. But I'd always force it out of my head. Because when I remember that place, I don't just remember the halls or the uniforms or the lonely winters. I remember the disappearances, and I remember room 313. It started in the fall of 1997. I was 16, quiet, and trying too hard to stay invisible. My parents had sent me to Saint Augustine after my father's job moved again. "Structure builds character," he'd said. The school was one of those old Gothic buildings that looked more like a hospital than a place for kids. High ceilings, long corridors, and walls so thick you could scream and no one would hear. There were maybe 200 students, all boys, and everyone knew everyone, or thought they did. That year, the weather changed earlier than usual. September turned cold and stayed that way. The fog came down from the hills and never left. Some nights it was so thick we couldn't see the end of the dorm hallway. The first boy who disappeared was Paul Henderson. Paul was the kind of kid who got along with everyone. He was funny, harmless, and always had candy hidden under his mattress. On a Friday night, he went to the bathroom after lights out and never came back. At first, no one panicked. Boys sneaked out all the time. Maybe he'd gone to the kitchen for food or slipped out to the lake. But when the morning came and his bed was still empty, the teachers started asking questions. We searched the dorms, the grounds, even the woods. Nothing. They brought in the police. Dogs. They found no footprints, no signs of a struggle. It was like he'd vanished. Classes continued the next week. The headmaster, Mr. Cole, told us not to spread rumors. "Paul will be found," he said, his voice calm, but his hands trembling. "Until then, we must stay focused." But after Paul disappeared, strange things began happening. At night, the power flickered for no reason. The clocks in the dorms froze at exactly 3:13 a.m. And sometimes, from the east wing, the one that was closed off for repairs, we'd hear something like footsteps. That wing had been shut down years before. Supposedly, there'd been water damage. But even from the main hall, you could feel a draft coming from under the sealed door. The other boys whispered that Paul had been taken there. The second to vanish was Eddie Brooks. Eddie was my roommate. A scrawny kid with thick glasses and a stutter, always scribbling drawings in a notebook he kept hidden. One night, I woke up to the sound of him whispering. His bed was on the other side of the room, but I could see him sitting up, his face pale in the moonlight. "Do you hear it?" he asked. "Hear what?" "The knocking." I listened, and then I did hear it. A slow, steady knock, 3 times, coming from inside the wall behind his bed. We froze. It stopped. The next morning, Eddie told me he'd dreamt of Paul standing at the end of the hallway, his face gray, eyes wide, mouthing words Eddie couldn't understand. That night, Eddie drew something in his notebook, a door, old and warped, with the number 313 above it. He said he saw it in the dream, too. 2 days later, Eddie was gone. His bed was empty when I woke up. The window was open and the curtains were fluttering. but there were no footprints outside, just like before. After that, everything changed. Teachers started sleeping in the halls at night. Curfews got stricter, but the tension, the fear was everywhere. I couldn't sleep. Every time I closed my eyes, I heard that slow knock 3 times, always 3. And then one night, I saw something. It was past midnight. I couldn't stay still, so I got up and walked toward the bathroom down the corridor. The lights were dim, humming faintly. Halfway there, I saw movement at the far end, near the door to the east wing. Someone was standing there. I thought it was a teacher at first, but the figure was too small. A boy. He didn't move, just stood in the dark, facing me. "Paul?" I whispered. No answer. He stepped closer, and I saw that his face was wrong. Pale, stretched too tight, eyes too wide and empty. Then he turned and walked straight through the sealed door of the east wing. I ran back to my room and didn't sleep again that night. When I told the headmaster the next morning, he just stared at me. "Don't repeat that to anyone, Thomas," he said quietly. "There are things about this place you wouldn't understand." And then he did something strange. He handed me a small silver cross. "Keep this with you," he said, "and don't go near the east wing." That's when I knew he was scared too. By October, the school felt like a tomb. Half the students had gone home early. Parents demanded answers, but none came. The police stopped showing up. Then one night, I heard the knock again. But this time, it came from inside our room. 3 slow knocks from under the floorboards. I froze in bed, clutching the cross. And then, faintly, a voice, muffled but unmistakable. "Tom, help me." Eddie's voice. I fell off the bed, shaking. The sound came again, closer now, like something crawling underneath the floor. In the moonlight, I saw a thin line appear between the boards, a crack widening slowly. I ran. I burst into the hall, barefoot, heart pounding, and saw that the door to the east wing was open. The tape and boards that had sealed it were gone. The darkness inside looked thick, almost liquid. I don't know why. Maybe because I couldn't stand not knowing anymore, but I stepped through. The smell hit me first. Damp wood, mold, and something metallic, like rust or blood. The hallway beyond was narrow and silent. My footsteps echoed like gunshots. The walls were lined with old classroom doors, each one slightly ajar. When I passed the first door, I glanced inside. Desks overturned, walls blackened by smoke. On the chalkboard, faint words, "Stay out of room 313. At the end of the hall, I saw it. A single door, older than the rest, faded number, 313. It was half open. I don't remember deciding to move closer, but I did. My hand shook as I pushed it. The air inside was freezing. The room was empty. At least it looked empty. Just broken furniture, old books, and a faint outline of a cross burned into the far wall. Then I saw the floor. In the center was a dark patch, like something had seeped up from below. And beneath it, I heard breathing. I knelt down. "Eddie?" I whispered. The breathing stopped. Then softly, a whisper. "Don't let him in." The floorboards cracked, and a hand shot up, pale and wet, grabbing my wrist. I screamed and pulled back, but the grip was ice cold, fingers digging into my skin. Another hand appeared, and another, too many, all reaching, clawing. They weren't trying to pull me down, they were trying to hold me there. From behind, a voice spoke, calm, almost kind. "Thomas." I turned. The headmaster stood in the doorway, holding a lantern. "You shouldn't have come here. Not again." "Again?" I gasped. He looked at me with tired eyes. "You don't remember, do you?" Before I could answer, he stepped closer, and the light fell across his face, pale, lined, and wrong. His eyes were black. "You were the first one, Thomas." The hands yanked me down. I woke up in the infirmary. Daylight. My wrist was bruised, my throat dry. The nurse said they'd found me unconscious near the east wing. "No one's supposed to be there," she whispered. "They sealed it for a reason." I tried to tell her about the room, the headmaster, the hands, but she shook her head. "There is no room 313, she said. "There never was." The school shut down a month later. Too many incidents, they said. I left, finished high school somewhere else. Tried to forget. But sometimes, when I wake in the middle of the night, I hear it. 3 knocks. Always at 3:13 a.m. And last week, after all these years, I got a letter in the mail. No return address. Inside was a photograph. A faded picture of me, Paul, and Eddie standing in front of our dorm room. Behind us, down the hall, the door to the east wing was open, and on it, clear as day, was the number 313. That's when I realized the truth. I never left Saint Augustine. Not really. The school burned down in 1997. I'd read about it in an old newspaper once, but I told myself it was someone else's memory. But the date, the fire, the missing boys, all of it happened on October 13th, 1997. 3:13 a.m. That's when the fire started. That's when we all disappeared. And every night since, I've been remembering it, living it again, trapped in the same memory that never ends. Maybe that's what room 313 really was. Not a place, a moment, a door that never closes.